Indian River Connections brings you the first source you can watch for truth on board decisions in Indian River County. The Board Report, where taxpayers and policymakers intersect. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite platform to get notified when we go live on Fridays at 7 p.m. Visit IndianRiverConnections.com for more.
Hi, welcome back to the Board Report, everybody. Brought to you by Indian River Connections and IRC Media. I'm Joanne Binford, and this is John Karapi. How are you guys doing?
Doing fantastic. Good to see you. Another week in the books. More stuff going on, and we're coming into the holidays, so it's a good time to get into mental health. And we got a great guest tonight. I'm looking forward to it. Who we got, Joanne?
Yeah, we've got George Colella. He's the addiction coach, and he understands a lot of what's going on out there and the struggles that people go through. And at work today, I was just thinking about it. I was thinking this is the last Friday of Board Report before the Christmas holiday, and there's so much going on between getting ready for Christmas, being stressful. Just some people are taking care of their elderly parents, and that's stressful too. Some people are struggling with addiction through the holidays, and they might feel lonely and they might feel stressed out. And it's really hard on people. Some people might have lost their jobs, but the thing about us here at the Board Report is we bring the news to everybody, and sometimes we talk about some hard subjects, and sometimes we have some ideas and opinions and questions, but deep down inside, we love our community and we think about our community all the time. So tonight I really was thinking, we need to have George on because we need to talk about this, and we need to let those people know that they can make it through this holiday no matter how hard it is emotionally and stressfully on them. We want them to be around after Christmas, and we want them to keep struggling because God is with everybody all the time, and He gives you the strength to pull through. And that's what we're here for too, a community of people that loves everybody, and we're going to support each other that way.
Yeah. And that's why we started the Indian River Connections, connecting people in places and connecting people into situations that can get information, news and information that's not normally available in our backyard, because we don't have a real news media company in this town that's doing weekly shows and talking about these things. But we're starting to see more and more people doing it, and so it's a good thing to have these type of people that are experts in the field. And George is a recovery champion, and he knows about things. He's helped me out in my personal life recently with some stuff I've been going through, and so he was one of the first people that I called up and was like, "Hey George, can you walk me through this? Can you help me through this? Can you give me some pointers and some tips on how to handle these things?" Because we don't know, and we think that we do, and and a lot of times I think that I can keep things on my shoulders where I can tuss through it, but we all need help, and we all need to help each other, and that's what community is all about.
Yeah, and it's okay to ask, and it's okay to say you need help,
Yep.
because a lot of us do, like you were trying to take on all of that on your shoulders, thinking, I can handle this, I can handle this. But
Mhm.
sometimes just having an outside perspective just molds it all together, and it makes you stronger as a person too, and gives you that breath of energy to move forward and say, okay, now we're going to try this and it's going to work.
And you have to listen to your gut instinct, because that's what I had to do. I had some thoughts in my head, and so those names popped in my head. George is one of them that popped in my head. Was like, give him a call. Like he's the guy you need to speak to. He has the experience, and he has the wherewithal to explain those things and understand about recovery and addiction and depression and going into deep dark places and pulling yourself out. And so that's where you have to listen to your gut, and that's what I did. And I'm glad I called him, and I'm excited to have him on the show for this segment.
Yeah. So let's go to a break so that we can bring George on and, give some people some information that can get them through this holiday.
Yeah.
There's a kind of strength you can't buy, or borrow. It's born in the fire, tempered by sacrifice, and carried by those who never stopped serving. Some heroes wear uniforms, others wear scars. They're veterans, first responders, and Gold Star families. Men and women who gave everything and still keep giving. At the Warrior Shield Foundation, we stand beside them, shoulder to shoulder, providing the support, the care, and the community they deserve. We're a proud non-profit, a 501c3, built to protect those who protect us. We don't just serve our own. We help other non-profits reach their missions too, because together, we make the Shield stronger. Donate and help our cause, help their cause, because every act of kindness builds hope where the battle still rages inside. Join the mission. Donate today. Visit warriorshield.org, because heroes deserve a foundation as strong as their sacrifice.
Welcome, George. How
Hello,
are you?
Joanne. How you doing, John? How you guys doing?
Good.
Doing pretty good. We just went black. Where did we go?
There we are.
There you are. There you are. Good to see you both. Good to see you both.
It's
Yeah.
really good to have you on, George. I was telling John, I was so concerned. I know we're all getting ready for the holidays, but I really had all those people that I don't know on my mind that are going to be having a tough time this season. And I was like, you know what? We need to have George on because George understands this. And I'm so glad that you were available.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's a lot going on in this world, a lot going on in life. And sometimes as humans, we can get really overwhelmed and we lose track of this gift of life that we have. It's it can be a difficult time for some people, for sure. You know, one great thing that happened, and you guys know, Fentanyl 1 was just passed
Mhm.
by this administration.
Really?
Yep.
Yes, it was
What,
signed in.
what does that mean, George?
Well, that means it's Schedule 1, meaning they will be indicted, anyone dealing fentanyl. And I got to tell you, the mothers, and I'm on a lot of media platforms, how it affected the mothers was beyond anything I could ever imagine because their children have dead from fentanyl,
Wow, yeah, their kids will never come back.
never come back. So the fact that, that was made, it's been criminal as far as I know, not the pharmaceutical one, not the ones that are hospital made. There's caution with that.
Yeah.
But we're focusing on the illicit fentanyl that's being infiltrated in everywhere. Cocaine, marijuana, it's everywhere.
Well,
You
remember,
So
know,
George, you called it couple years ago at the county building. You had a sign. You stood out in front and said that fentanyl is a weapon of mass destruction.
mhm,
hmm
You said
yeah,
it before the administration had just brought this up and declares it a weapon of mass destruction. That's up there with nuclear weapons and everything else. You called that outside the county building when you were telling people and telling the authorities that we have a problem and we need to take care of this. So you were ahead of the curve, speaking your truth, and now here we are, full circle. The administration's calling it a weapon of mass destruction.
yeah.
yeah.
Congratulations.
It's amazing. It's amazing because when I went to Washington D.C. and met many of the people, parents, mothers and fathers, husbands and wives of their loved ones that have been what I considered murdered. Uh, I had no idea that that was taking place on that scale. I had no idea. I didn't know it was popping in pills and some cocaine now in marijuana. I'm not very happy with President Trump now, but that's another thing we're going to talk about with a security firm. It's already being made in progress because there are medicinal things that some things can be used. I get that. But these kids today, you say, yeah, you could drink one glass of Grey Goose, one glass of Grey Goose. They think you mean the bottle of Grey Goose. So the lack of education with things that unfold has been a detriment to our county, our country. So I think if they schedule it from 1 to 3, there needs to be education because
Mhm.
fentanyl. I talked to a lady today that came to Vero. Laura, she spoke at Thrive. Her son smoked a joint with fentanyl in it. He's dead, 19 years old.
Yeah.
So I get the medical part. I'm not anti that. I'm suspect. But if we don't educate the community on things that could be fatal, then I think that could be a negative. You know?
100%.
Yeah. And this
Absolutely.
is a really tough time because, those parents who lost their kids to this drug and other drugs are celebrating their Christmas with one less person in their lives.
Exactly. Yeah.
Someone that's not coming back, you just can't change that. And hopefully that they have somebody that they can talk to and have a lifeline that they can go to help them deal with those emotions and that sorrow.
Yeah. I talked to a lady yesterday from Ohio, and she was just getting stuff out of her. She was frustrated. She goes, George, you've been doing this for over 10 years. And why don't people ask the people that are out in the streets in the forefront that are actually educated and trained in the field? And I just had to listen to her because she was venting. Her
Mhm.
kid is dead. I get it. And then she just said, I just needed to say it. She thanked me for listening to her. My heart broke because she's frustrated. You know, a child, a loved one is dead, and now she sees what's happening, and she's concerned. So when I came back in 2021, I met Sheriff Flowers along with Laura Moss, who has been a supporter of what I've been trying to bring awareness to our community. We would meet. I said, I'll put you on the national map. Make fentanyl murder one. Make it murder one. And I get when you don't know it's not easy. I get that. I get all that. But there was a guy convicted. I get the data. I'm a data guy. There was a guy
Yes.
convicted after December 14, 2022, fentanyl overdose of a 24-year-old here in Vero. He only got 16 years.
Wow.
Now, the kid that died is dead.
Yeah,
He's
it's like
he'll never have
why aren't they tried like they just murdered somebody? Why aren't they getting life in prison?
100%. And when I presented that to him, I get it. I can be a little overpassionate and outspoken, but my intent as well. He goes, George. And then we had Derek Maltz, as you know, come and speak. Tremendous supporter of what I've been trying to do and trying to do this. And when I looked at the list of all the people that have been dealing cocaine and fentanyl, and they get out 10, 15 convictions, I'm
To
like,
do it again.
say it again, Joanne.
To do it again.
That's right.
To
I'm like,
kill
what?
it.
John,
So
John enlightened me
to do
years
it
ago.
again.
Yes. And then who's making money on this? Wait a second. I allegedly making money. Let me use my terms properly. All right. Bondsmen got to bail them out. They got to get paid. Judges get paid. Law enforcement have to get paid. So the whole system has to be, they have to be taken care of. But that kid who's dead is gone.
Mhm. Yeah, and the family lost somebody. You can't fix that. Now it's going to happen to someone else. Someone else is going to become a victim because they're addicted to this drug. And it doesn't take much to get addicted to it. I mean, we talked about this earlier in the year when we were talking about fentanyl and how it affects addiction and how it's so hard to get off of it because it affects parts of your brain. And
Yes.
so it's a very easy drug to get addicted to. It doesn't take much. and they're free to do it again.
It's been very disconcerting to say the least. So we're hoping that judges eventually, that's being addressed now. They were building accountability with them. So repeat offenders. I played baseball. I was scouted by the Yankees. When you strike out after the third swing in or whatever, you got to sit down. You just, after three strikes, you got to sit down. Your coach might come to you, assistant coach, tell you maybe what you could do different to help you. We don't have that. We haven't had that.
Mm-hmm.
I've offered to speak in every school in Indian River County, in the school system, in front of, I'd be happy to go to prison. I used to go when we take AA meetings, and they stopped that. So all the resources that could be of help, maybe to any individual that maybe has, like you said, Joanne, that's having a hard time. We never know who the teacher is that's going to appear. But if we suppress that from our community, then maybe I'm wrong, but aren't we supposed to help one another?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, that's why we're here. That, God has a mission for all of us, but
yeah,
one of our missions is to always be a disciple that helps others. And
exactly.
whether it's emotionally, whether it's just listening, whether it's handing a blanket to, in whatever way that's feasible for us, we should be reaching out in some form of way. And that's how Christ works through all of us.
Exactly.
So let's take a break. Let's go to the commercial break, and then we'll come back on with Thomas. And I wanted to put up the 211, some of the help tabs. I have some tabs to show. So we'll show those. So if anybody's out there listening and they don't know how to contact someone to help, they don't know how to get help, we're going to show that to you guys today. So let's go to the next commercial. We're going to take a break.
There's a kind of strength you can't buy or borrow. It's born in the fire, tempered by sacrifice, and carried by those who never stopped serving. Some heroes wear uniforms. Others wear scars. They're veterans, first responders, and Gold Star families. Men and women who gave everything and still keep giving. At the Warrior Shield Foundation, we stand beside them, shoulder to shoulder, providing the support, the care, and the community they deserve. We're a proud non-profit, a 501c3, built to protect those who protect us. We don't just serve our own. We help other non-profits reach their missions too, because together, we make the Shield stronger. Donate and help our cause, help their cause, because every act of kindness builds hope where the battle still rages inside. Join the mission. Donate today. Visit warriorshield.org. Because heroes deserve a foundation as strong as their sacrifice.
All right, let's pull up Thomas. Hey, Thomas, welcome aboard. Yeah, hold on. Hang on, Thomas. Let me pull you back down. Hold on. I don't know why his unmute request has been sent to Thomas. Okay.
There we go.
Are you on, Thomas?
Yep, there we go.
Let's try it.
There you go.
There you go.
Am I there?
Yep, you're
Yeah,
here.
You're there.
Hi, George.
How you doing, young man?
Oh, I don't know. I might be older than you.
I hope
Yeah.
so.
So you heard us talking about the fentanyl, and Thomas, you weren't here earlier, but I was kind of really concerned about people out there during Christmas because, the suicide rates increase. We've got people out there that are going through troubles, lost their jobs. They may be going through recovery and really at that point where they're struggling to make it through recovery, and all of this family, maybe families denied them to visit. There's so many things that people are going through right now while other people are full of joy and happiness, that it can really come down hard on people. So I wanted to talk about that and have some clips of slides where I can show them where they can reach people. But George, he was talking about all of that, and you heard that. So what do you think about that, Thomas?
In terms of the people in the holiday season,
Yeah,
yeah, the core of it is, to me, is why you even have the holiday season. I mean, it starts with a celebration of thankfulness, and then it moves into the celebration of this,
Christ,
your Savior, hopefully.
Christ.
And I think that's the reality of it, the indwelling of God through the Holy Spirit in each and every one of us. If you don't have that, you're going to have a lot of different questions. You're going to have a lot of different experiences away from God that aren't necessarily going to be great in outcomes. And you could have everything, what it is to gain the whole world and lose your soul. So there's all that. And I think personally, to me, it's like, even when you're in the worst of times, if you have the presence of God with you, he sustains you through it. He walks you through the valley of the shadow of death. And when you experience things in life, and I have, you know, when you're walking through the valley of the shadow of your own death, so to speak, uh, if he's there, you can navigate it. And a lot of people don't want to do that, so they check out. And so my thing with anyone is, don't check out, but check in and put your focus forward to Jesus Christ and go from there and let him navigate for you. Um, that's the message of this season, and we have to keep reiterating that. I think those relational connections in the church are the most important thing. Even if you've never stepped in one, you need to step into a church. And it may seem strange, and quite honestly, culturally, the church is a bit odd, but it's not of this world. So of course it's odd. It's odd by definition, right?
So where would you suggest somebody to go that heard your message today and says, you know what, I've never walked in a church. Where do I go? And I'm kind of nervous about walking in a church. It's never really been my thing, but I don't know what I'm doing and I feel uncomfortable. What would you say to somebody like that? And where would you advise them to go?
I would say you go where you're led, a Bible believing church, of course. I'm not going to choose one over the other. There are great churches here. There's a great church out on 82nd. It's a Bible fellowship. There's Pathways here over, and there's Central Assembly. There's all sorts of great churches around here. There's Oceans United. That's an excellent church too, as well. I know a lot of people who attend all of these churches. And so the question isn't the church per se, but it's you and God. Jesus said after he healed that paralytic at the pool of Bethesda, which, by the way, well, I'm not going to get into that because I'll just take up all the time. But he said there is coming a time when God seeks those who worship him in spirit and in truth. You have to have a Holy Spirit bona fide relationship with God through Jesus Christ, or you're not going to understand any church you walk into, and you're going to have a natural negative light towards it, because that relationship with God is the most important thing. And you can have that in your bedroom, or you can have that with a person. Someone who understands that is what you're looking for.
Now, somebody who's strung out and is really like, they're going through the worst part of addiction or the worst part of their emotional moment where they feel like life is just a pit, an endless black pit that they're falling down. who could they reach out to pull them out of that pit, to put some sense into them? You know, they have these numbers to call. You've got 211 where you can call and immediately speak to somebody to help you get through that pit, because when somebody's in that pit, what happens to them, George? What are they going through? What's their mind going through?
So their mind, the cerebral part of the brain has blocked everything out. God is not in the equation. Loved ones are not in the equation. None of that. Guilt and shame, all of that happens. And what happens is they lack the ability to ask, like you said, ask for help. They don't know. So that can deprive some people. What I learned is in 21 years in continuous recovery and for 15 years in the field of addiction, I don't push anything. I push my experience of what helped me get through it. Then, if they choose to talk about something else, I was a missionary for 25 years. I studied every religion. I'm not anti religion, but that's a whole nother topic if you want to get into that. Because I studied Arabic, Hebrew, Greek, Latin, and there was a purpose for that. So I don't really hit them with anything other than let's find out what we can do to get you the help right here, right now. I need seconds to bring them in. When we get them to a place, they have to detox. Most people don't know they don't detox in 30 days. Medically, that's a fallacy. 6 months to a year, the chemicals come out of the body. But people say, oh, go to a detox, 72 hours, you'll be fine. When
72
they,
hours and then 28 days, right?
yeah,
That's
yeah.
a big number.
And little do they know, and I don't think their intent is bad, but I go back to educated people, people that are trained in the field of addiction. I can't speak what I don't know.
Well, it sounds like that short time frame is just enough for you to get them to the point where they're really hurting. You know, where the withdrawals start to kick in and then you're just dying to just give up. That's what it
It's
sounds like to me, you
you
know?
have you have sometimes seconds. So I worked in the field 14 years. I have one casualty. The mother went on media. She was a famous model. Her son, an amazing young guy, Greenwich, Connecticut, great kid, whatever. I'm not breaking HIPAA laws because she went on media. She went nationally to tell them that her son died of narcotics and fentanyl. And great kid. And he said, I smoked cigarettes back then. He said, you smoke, old man? I said, I'm not going to give you a cigarette if you call me old man again. And we laughed and I hooked him. We had a moment of humanity. He said, George, I don't know what to do. I'm gay. And no, and a lot of people don't like it. I said, listen to me. I don't care what you are. What you're using is not going to convince anybody to accept you for who you are.
Hmm.
So why don't you accept you and let's get this show on the road? He went to California, I flew him there. He did great for 2 years. His mother, Stephanie Seymour, you could look it up on Google. Um, she found him in the bathroom, OD, dead in her bathroom.
Wow.
So sometimes you have seconds. But what I've learned in the field, and I was just talking to a young man I'm helping that almost died from fentanyl, we lack education, not only in the fentanyl aspect. Uh, even if we're talking about church and religion, look how there's less people going. So there's a lack of education all over this country with spirituality, humanity, and addiction. And what's happening is the youth are going to pay the price because if these services are available and the parents for whatever reason are not taking them to church, to a synagogue. I'm more of a Yahweh Yeshua guy. I believe in the Israelites. Uh, and they're not taking them there, then they're not learning values. They're not learning, Christ-like qualities. They're not learning things. And so that has been a major effect in this country. And then the schools, you can't talk about addiction in the schools. I want the FBI to come to
Why
Vera
is
so
that?
bad.
Why can't
And
you
I
talk
get,
about addiction in the school?
Well, I think when you talk about addiction, there should be a parent involved, because
That's probably why. Yeah.
it's pretty intense to talk about the drugs and the effects and all that
that's
stuff.
okay.
So when the parent is there, now because it's kind of like, and I'm probably using the wrong example, but it's the closest one I can think of. When I took my dog to training school, I needed to be trained. You know what
I
I mean?
get
Because
it.
everything the dog was learning at school, if I went home and didn't do it again at home,
How's your child going to learn?
right. So, like, the addiction thing should be, we talk to the parents first and bring the parents and the kids together so that you have some consistency and the parents are learning how to do this and how to see the
How to spot it.
signs. And yes, exactly, because if you just do it to the kids, it's kind of like doing a sex talk with the kid. Like they hear it, but they're not really learning anything. You
And
know,
I think that's a great suggestion. But when you have community that's closed minded, I've offered it to the sheriff, to the captain. Listen, they know who I am, and
I think
I'm
they
not
do.
important,
we all know who you are,
right? The
George.
fact is that eventually, when the federal government gets involved and there's data shared that we've tried to help community and there's casualties because of their egos, some. Let me watch my wording, because some of their egos, law enforcement are not addiction specialists.
Mm-mm.
They're not. They want to think they are. When I took the deputies course, they said, you know so much shit about addiction. I said, well, you got to study about it. I can't hear it from someone. Joanne, you said it. I got to go learn. If I don't go learn, then how am I going to be able to be of help? So that's one. I talked to the different treatment centers here. Half of them are rogue. They should be
Rogue. What
closed
do you
down.
mean? Oh,
There's a lot of allegedly health fraud, allegedly sexual trafficking, very much human trafficking. That I know for a fact. And so when you have all these resources who are not willing to unite to help community, help parents, and be a resource to help others, that's what's going to happen. It's sad. But I think, Joanne, if parents get involved, it'd be great. I spoke at St.
I think
John's.
that's one of the biggest things is parents. When I was growing up, like I grew up with divorced parents. So my parents weren't as involved as my friends' parents, but I knew a lot of friends that had parents that were still together and parents and even parents that were split up, but they were very involved still in their kids' lives. So parents need to learn how to be parents again. Kind of, I was a single mom and I learned from watching my parents and what they didn't give me. I wanted to be a great mom. So I was like, I'm going to do everything I can to give my children the things that I saw as a child that I was missing, that I craved for as a child. So I made sure I delivered that to my kids when I was a parent. And then when I got divorced, because I was married for 20 years. So it was very frightening for me and traumatizing for me that I
Sure.
had to now end something that was so golden to me because this is what I wanted. This interview is not about me, but I'm giving an example
I understand.
of what other people might be going through. This is what you want, and this is what you want to hold on to. So the cycles can change, but at one point, if something horrible is happening in your life and it's affecting your kids, you have to cut ties, which is what happened in my relationship. And it's just very difficult to move forward, but you can still be a good parent if you hold on to those values and say, I am going to be a good parent. And a lot of parents are just, they're walking away. They want to be friends with their kids, or they hand their kids computers and technology, and it makes parenting so much easier. But it really doesn't in the long run, because you lose that connection of, I'm supposed to know what you're doing. I'm supposed to be in your business. And then when they become teenagers and you start seeing signs and you start butting in their business, they're like, F you, who the hell are you? And then you have this big, spoiled, corrupt kid in middle school that you can't get the reins in on. And that's what's happening with parents these days.
We lost. I think there's been a sense of accountability all through across the board as parents, Yes, we want to love our kids. We want to give them the best we can, but we're the parents. The same
Mhm.
thing applies across the board down with everything. If there's no accountability, there's anarchy. And what
Oh yeah.
happens eventually when there's anarchy, disruption in the home, then the school systems, then, then the community. And if we, as those who are leaders or so-called leaders, are not exemplary in what we're trying to relay, then the kids are very vulnerable and they see
Well,
that.
see, in public
Well,
school, you don't have to, the parents don't have to be accountable. But in magnet schools and private schools, the kids do better because the parents have to be involved and
You see the
accountable.
difference?
So that's but most people these days, because society keeps getting poorer and poorer and poorer, it's designed that way. Look at our kids now. My daughter's 28 years old, still struggling to get on her feet after going to school and getting a master's, right? And in today's day and age, like her interest rate is so high on her loan that she is only paying on the interest, and it's not the complete interest. So the
her
interest
school loan,
keeps
correct?
growing. Huh?
She's school loan, correct?
She's school owned and will be for the rest of her
She
life
has a school
because
loan, yeah. Okay.
yeah, she has a school loan because everybody says send your kid to college in a community college. Well, guess what? Community college only covers basic jobs. So if you want to be a surgeon, if you want to be a
Hey,
like
now I got a 2-year degree.
you created, yay, you're an exception. You created your degree.
And
So
then I got a
hush,
4-year degree that I created after
yes.
going to
So
a
hush,
various amount of
hush.
other 4-year schools.
But she wanted to be a forensic
I figured college out
psychologist.
all on my own, and
Is that
I
what
wrote
she
my own
wants to
degree
do?
program.
Is
That's
that
what
what
she
she wants?
is. She got her degree in
I have a
forensic
contact right
psychology.
now in Washington.
But
If
she's
she wants to be a forensic scientist or analyst,
well,
no,
George. She right now she's applying for the FBI.
that, so
She's already in
I'll
the
get you a
phase
name.
of
I'll get you a
testing.
name.
She
But
needs names.
she could
Ask
not
Patel.
she could not get her degree at our local college because you have to have a specific you have to work under specific professors and specific,
Oh my God.
like you just can't get certain degrees at any college and have it accredited, because if it's not accredited, then you end up taking those classes all over again if you go to a different college. So it's a scam, and then the well, she actually got accepted at a private college, which is DU in Colorado, and it was an accelerated class. So her semesters were done in 8 weeks, and she only had like 35, 40 kids in her program. So, but she did well, and she got her master's, and she's working as a therapist now. But she's owned, like Thomas said, she's owned by her degree.
The system.
Her interest is 6 point something percent. It's higher than my mortgage. You know, and she's not even making that much money yet. You know, it's like you got to be making a six-figure salary, and she's not making that.
Well, if there's any way I can help, I can get you someone.
Hey,
But
But you,
George, let me go
that's
back to something here.
yeah.
Um, you said it before, that you got those first few minutes of really just grabbing a hold of someone and
yeah.
sort of shaking their tree, so to speak.
Hmm.
And it just hit me, like from a Christian perspective, sin demands isolation. You know, that lifestyle demands isolation. My brother was
Yes,
an
it does.
addict, and I worked with him for years trying to help him. And every time he got close, he'd bail at the last minute. And ultimately, it cost him his life.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah. And so, but speak to that, how do you deal as a counselor? Because obviously, just from my experience with my brother, you pull them out, they go back. They go back in that isolated world, and then they come out,
Hmm.
and usually a lot of times what people don't seem to realize, they're coming out of that isolation because they need resource to go back into it and keep doing it.
Well said.
Can you speak to that?
Yeah,
So,
that's a vicious cycle.
so, yeah, Thomas, that's a great point. Great question. So, to give you an example, I was shooting a heroin at 10 to 15 in New York City.
You were.
Yeah,
Okay.
graffiti artist. Out of my mind. My mother was like, Joanne, what am I going to do for my kid? Thomas, what am I going to do for my son? John, what am I going to do for my son? I had OD'd 4 times on heroin. And the older guys I was hanging around with told me, we're done with you. And my ex-brother-in-law was an Italian guy connected with the mob, so I couldn't die because they would be whatever. So my mother had it. She awarded me to the state of New York. I went to a juvie military for a year and a half in 1975. And I go, my mother doesn't love me. My mother doesn't love me. The cycle, Tom, right? If my mother
Mm-hmm.
would love me, she would let me be free. And what's wrong with my mother?
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea she was trying to save my life. So the chemicals in the brain affect the cerebral part, which is the decision making. As a kid, I don't even know how to tie my sneakers. I know how to tie my arm and shoot. So I lacked the inability of learning how to be taught because the chemicals were robbing me. Then I would
Mm.
isolate. And I only knew the environment of the streets. I lived in the Bowery. I would give the bums MD 2020 and watch out for me while I did graffiti. I knew that environment. So to go to a whole different place, I lacked the ability at that moment to trust. I lost
So,
trust.
George, is that isolation part what makes that person feel safe? Like nobody can.
Yes,
So that isolation is like them building these walls up and saying,
yes.
"I'm not letting you in."
I'm not
You,
going to let you in. You care about me. I don't even care about me. I'm not going to tell you because you already know I don't care about me because I'm creating a demise in my life. And
Well,
so when
you even just said it, you know, biblically again, light comes into darkness, darkness doesn't understand it.
doesn't
You're like, what is my
understand,
mother doing? You didn't understand the things she was trying to do
you know,
because your selfishness, you're isolated. Even
exactly.
when you're present with her, you're still isolated
Yeah,
because your selfishness is like, hey man, just let me be free, quote unquote.
yeah. And
yeah.
so when you don't have the tools, whether it's a child or as an adult, it's easy to isolate because of the guilt and shame. The guilt and shame.
Mm.
I let my mother down. Then I ended up working for the subsidiary United States government, designing military parts. She was so proud of me at 17. I was under the protection of, the government. I'm like, I'm just getting paid to draw. She goes, you have no idea. I didn't comprehend.
You're a
Well,
draftsman?
but yeah, I was mechanical draftsman.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's
And I
talent.
didn't know that I put my mother through that because, like Thomas was saying, I lived in my own world. I'm not hurting you, John. I'm not hurting, Thomas or Joanne. Don't tell me you love me. I got to go. I didn't know. And so what happens is alcoholics and addicts, it alcohol suppresses the brain from growing. It
From actually
suppresses the
growing
brain. Say
physically.
it again, Thomas.
From actually growing physically?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. And then some marijuana users create psychosis, which is another lack of growth in the brain. So you put that in a 14-year-old like me or 10-year-old. I don't know.
Mm.
What do I know other than that?
Right, and you're too young to have even really found God, so you don't have God to help save you
And I'm
through all
mad
of
at
this,
God because he made me
right?
go through that. My mother, I'm
Yeah.
mad at mom.
So,
And so usually when I talk to a kid today, he's a miracle. Been helping him for a month, and he's like, George, I'm not using again. I don't know how this kid's alive. Anyway, so he goes, George, I almost died from fentanyl 3 times. And I said, so I want to ask you to do something. I want to ask you something. He goes, I said, I can't pick your spiritual journey. I know my God, my higher power, Yahweh, and his son, Yeshua, they saved me from me. From me. I can't tell you what to do. He does love, he's going to a church now. I said, is it working? He goes, yeah. I said, you ain't leaving there then. If
Hmm.
it's working, you're not leaving there. He said, well, everybody else doesn't go there. I said, I don't
Who
really care
cares?
what everybody else does. Am I right,
Right.
Thomas?
Right. You know, there's your relationship with God is A1A1A1A.
It's a personal relationship.
It has to come first.
Yes. And so what happens is they feeling wanting to be accepted by others outside, wanting the approval of outside. When he said some of them don't go to church with me, I said, well, I respect what you believe. He goes, you do? I said, yes, I do. He goes, oh my God, the other guy. I said, I'm not worried about the other guys. I'm worried about you. I'm worried about what you
Hmm.
want to do. Your relationship with God is your journey. Nobody can dictate to you that journey. And
Hmm.
he got it. He got
That's
it.
wonderful.
But you know how many people, Joanne, Thomas, and
Don't
John,
get it.
they
My brother was one who didn't quite get it.
they don't get it.
And to the
Well,
point where they have to be delivered from the absolute lie of all of that.
Yes, yeah,
it's so easy to give up and hard at the same time, because when you give up, you don't really have to fight and feel all the pain, but you feel all of the stuff that you lost.
yeah.
It's kind of like I'm trying to battle it in my head, like which one is worse, you know? They
It's such a so when I got sober in August 25th, 2005, after 4 years drinking, after having 24 years clean, I relapsed, living on the beach, thinking I was a big shot. Went through a divorce. I was emotionally inept. Didn't have my kids with me. Poor me, poor me. And then I go, a drink's gonna fix me, and maybe a little white powder, and maybe a couple doobies, right? I was homeless in 3.5 years, living in the streets in Vero Beach. I go to AA. No, I'm lying to you. A lady who her son OD'd knocked on my door for her son's little radio. And I don't usually use profanity around women. I try not to. I told her, like, so, and she's very feisty. And she goes, you better open the door. I'm going to kick your ass. And I opened the door. She knew what I was doing. She took me to a detox and then dropped me off at Alcoholics Anonymous. She said, if I have to go to your house, she knew my ex wife and my kids. She said, I'm going to kick your ass if you pick a drink or some other shit again, George. Her,
Wow.
her son OD'd on heroin 35 years ago. Guess who revived him? I did. She
Wow.
said, you revived him. Now, if you want to shoot your brains or, do drugs after I help you, that's fine. My penance is paid. God put me here to get you to a detox. I never forgot that woman. So God works in mysterious ways, as Thomas is
It
saying.
does.
But if I'm not open to it, or if I
Right.
resent God, or oh, don't talk about God, or don't talk about that religion, this religion, I studied every one of them. And we could talk about anything. My first sponsor was a Buddhist. I needed calm, calm. And then
You can't have that glass half full and empty, AA. I'm
yeah,
just kidding.
yeah, right?
Well, I think
Just,
it's great that you studied all of that, because, even
Yeah.
Charlie Kirk says you have to understand a lot the other side. You have to understand all of those other sides, and it makes you a more rounded person. So that's makes you able to help more people and reach out and understand more people.
I helped a Jewish kid up in I was in New York City. A team called me at 2 in the morning. This kid got popped. He hit a car. He had more money than the government. George, can you help? I'm like, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. Go there. I met the judge, met the lawyer. The judge says, okay, what's the plan? I talked to my team.
Oh,
Oh,
we lost George. I'm
man.
going to move over to the scene while George is wrapping up, and I want to show this. Let me remove that. We're going to put this new tab up here.
How you doing, Joanne?
I'm doing good. I wanted to share this helpline. This is the 211 line that people can call if they're struggling and they need some help. Yeah, let me pull you back up, George. I moved over to here. This is the 211 number. I wanted to put that up there, George, for people to call. It's the Palm Beach and Treasure Coast area. And they can speak with a highly trained specialist. Calls are free, confidential, and available 24/7. It's important for people to be able to reach out to people, right,
I'm sorry,
George?
did we lose you?
You're back.
You're back. Can you hear us? George, can you hear
Can't
us?
hear us.
Yeah, he can't hear us. Let me pull him down.
Go back out.
George, do you hear me when you're down there? Let's do this. Maybe I just put him back up.
You can't hear us.
Yeah. George, go out and come back in. Go out and come back in.
So he'll figure it out.
Yeah, he'll figure it out. So I wanted to put this one up too. This one's the mental health one. Share that for people. Walk-in counseling centers.
You hear us now, George?
Do
I
you
don't know
hear
what
us?
happened.
Can you hear it?
Did I lose you?
No, can you hear us? You can't hear us.
All right, Steve, that's good.
Can you guys text him? There's something on his phone he has to turn on.
Let me text
Computer.
him. I'm trying to
Probably
text
what
him.
it is. So the walk-in counseling center services is that part of the mental health initiative?
That's Cleveland Clinic. This is over by Cleveland Clinic. Yeah. We can hear you. You can't hear us. Let me see. Can you hear me, George?
All right, he's got it.
Okay, so let me pull you back up. I think we've got you.
I know you mentioned to get resources if people want to go somewhere. I do have a list of resources. The Newport Club, they have meetings from Christmas Eve from 4 all the way through 4 p.m. Christmas Day. And on Christmas, anyone can go and eat from 1 to 3 o'clock at the Newport Club.
At the Newport Club.
Where's that located, George?
That's on 16 across the street from the Italian.
Kitchen?
No, the
Italian
Italian.
club.
Yes.
American?
And if they don't like the food at the Newport Club, they could go to the Italian Club.
Newport Richie. I'm
They
gonna
got
look
some
that
good
up.
manicotti over there.
Yes, they do. And also New
Oh, it's
Year's, they have meetings round the clock, so they don't have to be alone. They can go to any meetings. You can look it up at Newport Club.
Is that the
Sometimes I go.
Alcathon is the name?
Yes, Alcathon. Yep. And the
Who started
purpose is,
that?
pardon me.
Who started the Alcathon?
So they started this before I got sober, and
Oh,
it
it's been around a
was,
while then. Okay.
yeah, and I felt secure because,
Oh,
you
I
know,
got it. Here, let me show it. I'll show
yeah,
it right here. I'm gonna do a
Our
tab
IT
share.
department is on top of it.
yeah, she's good.
Okay. Can you see it? Is it showing up?
Yep, there it is.
Okay, there it is from 1 to
Slices,
3
turkey,
p.m.
gravy, mashed potatoes, vegetables, rolled dessert, and beverages. Wow.
Yes. Yeah. And
Yeah.
then they also have the list of all the meetings. So no one has to be alone. They have them from 12 round the clock, 24 hours,
Oh, that's
24
cool.
hours
There
on
we go.
Christmas and New Year's.
And what's the address there?
The address is 2536 16th Avenue, right across the street from the Italian. What is it, Thomas?
It's the Italian American Club.
Yes. Thank
Right
you.
near
Okay.
oh, never mind.
Italian
Okay.
American Club. I mean, that's such a thing. So they provide resources so people can go. And I've met people there that were a little twisted. They were a little, sauced up, but they felt safe that they could go somewhere because, they were, and some of them stayed, on their journey. So they
That's
have a safe place to go.
That's
This,
important because they need a judge-free zone. They don't want to be
yes,
judged. They just want to be peaceful, go there,
that's it.
maybe have some small talk, be around people, but they don't want to be stressed and they don't
No,
want people judging them.
no, they
So
don't
it's
need any
important.
more guilt. What they
They need
need is compassion
and
Oh
some
my God.
love.
and love.
So George, I'm watching my brothers deal with addiction. I mean, he for quite a while, for like 3 or 4 years, he was fine. We went on bicycling trips, did all sorts of fun stuff, and he was just a different human being. But one of the things that I saw with him is like he learned all the ins and outs of medication, what the drugs do to him, supplements, all this stuff, because he was in the professional world. He had a high-end job, things like that. And he could literally, his job became so much about the knowledge and all, his addiction. Part of it was so much, he knew so much about addiction, but he didn't know how to cure himself. Can you speak to that? Do you run into that a lot where people like, oh, I can just counter it with this, I have my protein shake in the morning or whatever they do. He just knew all this like odd information for his personal health, but was just totally addicted. Do you find that happening a lot?
It happens, Thomas. That's another great point. They substitute. They substitute one from the other
Or they
without,
counter it or
yes.
use
And what they do is they
withdrawal?
don't deal with the emotional guilt inside of whatever happened. And their self-forgiveness is very valuable and a must, in my opinion, self-forgiveness and then the changing of behavior. And then knowledge is good, but if it's not applied, it doesn't work. So what
Which has its
happens
own
is
addictive quality, all this
exactly.
knowledge, and you're like, it makes you the smartest person in the room to yourself.
Yeah, I dealt with a commander in chief. He lived in Sebastian. He served in the military. He blew up a lot of boats and he knew more than the government. He had a beautiful hot rod car, but it got impounded because he was drunk. So he called me. I went to court with him. And the judge told him, this old man, referring to me, if you listen to him a little bit, you might be able to get your car back. He listened to me for 30 days and then he just went out and bought another car. Just went out
Wow.
and he knew more than the judge. And, so they take that knowledge without support team. So my support team is national. There, Maltz is part of my support team. I have other people here that are on my support team. I have support team in New York that I had when I was going through education. So I have a lot of people that if I call and I going through an emotional bender or lack of ability to deal with something emotional, then I can call you and say, "Hey Thomas, how do you deal with this?" But most people they allow pride and ego to
Right. They don't
Go
reach
interfere.
back to the
out.
isolation. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And then
Well, the other thing is I've heard a friend say this. They said, "Well, when I'm feeling like that, why would I want to bring somebody else's day down?" Like
That's
I'm
a good
I'm
excuse, though.
feeling like crap. So why am I going to put all of this on them? I can't even handle it.
That's a good alibi to have in the court of law. That would be a good alibi to not seek it. But what the mind is telling them is don't. It goes back to what Thomas was saying. Uh, I isolate. Don't let the spirit of humanity. Don't let the spirit of God come and help you. So that the feelings of guilt and shame suppress us from asking for help
you
So
know
the wall
it's
because
goes up.
well
yeah,
biblically, it's perfect love casts out fear because fear has to
exactly.
do with punishment.
Yeah.
So if you think the guilt and the shame is the punishment, and
Mhm.
some people find these interactions relationally with people who can help them as, well, I'm sharing now my guilt, I'm sharing my shame, and I shouldn't do that. I should be perfect coming in.
Exactly.
And
Mm.
that's
Im-
impossible
Impossible.
because you have to have the perfect love to get over the fear, to get over the shame, to get over the guilt.
Yeah.
But we're not perfect.
Yeah. And
Exactly.
so
Nobody's
this
perfect.
nobody's perfect. This
Nobody's
kid,
perfect. God's
29 years
perfect.
old, he was this kid was brilliant. And you know, he told me some deep, deep stuff and HIPAA laws and trust, as long as it's not federal. Um, you know, and he's still sober. And his mother went. We were in Sag Harbor in Long Island, New York. He got a year. His mother sharing tears because she didn't believe he would ever do it. And when we went to Detroit to visit his family, she goes, "He ain't gonna do it." I said, "Oh, he's gonna do it. I'm gonna kick his ass." She goes, "Why?" And I said, "We'll talk about that later." Then when she saw him get his 1 year medallion, she couldn't talk, just tears, tears.
Wow.
She said, "George, you believed in him." I said, "Somebody
Mm,
believed in me. We have to
right.
believe." And if it doesn't happen, yeah, we'll go, why? But we can't stop believing. If I didn't believe my Buddhist sponsor, my God sponsor, my spiritual mentors today, if I didn't believe that the spirituality in their journey wouldn't help them, I wouldn't be here talking to you. They
Hmm.
believed in me. They believed it could. They said, "Try it. What do you got to lose? Look at you. You're sleeping in a van, coconut head."
Well, and a lot of people, they want to get rid of the addiction. The physical reality of it is a daily war, and it's
Hmm.
a severe one. Especially, you've been in it. You know how severe it is. I witnessed it. We probably all know somebody who's physically was just destroyed.
Hmm.
Um, and so that's their only knowledge that they know, something
Exactly.
amiss. And the spiritual, even the smarts doesn't really even matter. The intellectual doesn't matter as much
No.
because the physical is so dominating. And so, my brother, that's what he was always trying to fix,
The physical.
his physical
Yeah.
feeling, his physical pain, and some of it was just from straight drug use.
Now,
And
Thomas, did he have God in his life?
he did, but he also had a relapse. But there's certain things in a spiritual journey that you're going to run into. And George touched on it. He said, you touched on it, George, about the not dealing with that internal and getting that and
Oh.
allowing the presence of God to come into those
Hmm.
personal hurts and actually seek forgiveness. Walking around sober, we call it dry drunk, so to speak,
Exactly.
because
Wow, yeah.
the people come off and they're physically fine insofar, but
They're
they're
not really
they have
healed.
no personality.
Hmm.
Is gone. Everything that alcohol gave them is gone. It made them the life of the party. They don't even know how to behave because there's just that internal void where Jesus hasn't met them yet.
Hmm.
And that's what has to be allowed in all of that. The history of AA was about exactly that.
Yeah.
It used to be a 3-day program, and people would walk out completely transformed.
Mhm.
And now it's been extended on in some levels, and it's been adopted and modified over the years. But that's what it used to be. It was an intensive 24-hour a day, 3-day program.
I take my guys one of the fastest in Vero through the steps. Within 30 to 90 days, they're reading literature. I said,
Yes.
Are you asking God for help? Who's God? I said, I don't know who God is. You got to ask God for help. Well, I don't know who God is. I said, well, maybe if you ask God, maybe something will happen. And a lot of them resent me for doing that. But like Thomas said,
Because they just want the
it,
fixing of themselves to make them
yes,
appear what is culturally normal. And
exactly.
culturally normal, Jesus would rather have you kingdom normal.
Yeah.
So,
And
do you
so
think they need to find themselves so they can find God? If they
100%.
find themselves first, then they have room to find God. If they're trying to find God first, whom they don't know who they are either because all they ever know is the drunk guy
They
or
don't
the
know they're a
addicted guy.
miracle because they haven't gotten to know God. I didn't know I was a
Oh,
miracle. I'm
there you
still
go.
alive.
I love that.
I didn't. I was still alive, and if I'm still alive, maybe somebody around there somewhere, maybe cares about me. And my sponsor
Mhm.
told me, so if you were supposed to be dead, wouldn't you be dead? And he shifted my thinking. Why am I resentful at God? Because I went through a divorce, I lost a lot of money, blah blah blah, all guilt and shame that other people have gone through, but yet I'm
You're
feeling
still
sorry for
here.
myself. And he said, "You're still here." He said, "Why
Mhm.
don't you put on the big boy pants, tie your shoes, and now get going?" And I'm like, he's not very understanding, right? Because I seek eh, alcohol. We suffer from infantile syndrome because of the suppression of the brain. And so what happens is the mental physical disorder. It's a chemical. When I saw it, Joanne, you grew up in New York City, and maybe
Mhm.
others have seen it. In a cocktail bomb, you know what's in it? Alcohol. I didn't know it was flammable. So
Mm.
I'm growing up in the city with cocktails behind, machetes, guys cutting each other up and all this shit. And then I come in AA, they go, alcohol is ethanol. I'm like,
Right.
what? They're like, it's ethanol. Light a match, put it on a cloth and light it. I'm like, why would I do that? George, do it. And then it got on fire. I said, that's the shit I'm drinking. They go, yep. I'm like, oh my God, I'm destroying my brain and my mind and body. Yep. But see, when people don't know, it goes back, Joanne, John, and Thomas, to education. When people don't know different, they can't learn different. So when
Mm.
we don't allow the knowledge that we all have obtained in our experience in life to be able to share with others in community, there might be somebody who's gone through something Joanne, you, John, or Thomas has gone through, and you could be that angel at that moment in that person's life.
Yeah.
But if community doesn't allow it, how do we do it?
Right.
It's
Mhm.
so that's my only gripe. I mean, I wish I spoke at St. John's University, Vermont. I was flown to speak. I spoke at Harvard, and no money, no money, just sharing
Harvard should have paid
experience.
you.
I think they should have, but they did. But
But
so
it's a
we as a
good service.
I
community,
have a few bucks.
yeah, we as a community we have resources, but if our resources are not used, then what are we doing?
Right. Why, you know, the Psalms say, before you were born, he knew you.
Yep.
Mhm.
And
That's
then it
right.
says, endless are his thoughts about you. And I think a lot of addicts, they try to get straight to come to God when God just wants to start sharing with them who they are.
Well said.
And
Mm.
that's a big deal. But it requires what you talked about earlier, allowing him to in those places where they're shut down emotionally and shut down. We all go through this.
Yeah.
I'm not perfect at this for sure, but where those shutdowns are, he wants to come in and go, "Hey, I want to deal with this right now," or "I want to deal with that," or you know, "Don't worry about that right now. Let's deal with this. Let's deal with just you getting to understand that I created you first."
Amen.
Mhm.
And if they could get to that point, I was with a kid who, oh, I love this kid. His family's
You
from
amaze me,
Vancouver.
George.
I'll end with this. We went to Vancouver, great kid, very talented, very whatever, 21 years old. He liked my graffiti. Oh, you were messed up. I'm like, I used to be messed up. I'm not messed up now. And then we did great. Then he relapsed, got a call 911. Law enforcement's there, the ambulance, there's needles all over the place. I'm
Mm.
thinking this kid's dead. So I go upstairs to his bedroom with a cop, because you got to follow HIPAA laws, a cop, and I smacked his foot. He had some attire on, and he got up. He goes, "What the hell are you doing here?" I said, "If you OD on me, the East River's right there. I'll just throw your ass in it." And he looked at me. I said, "What are you doing?" And he goes, "Get the hell out of here, get out of here." So I told law enforcement, "You found, paraphernalia, put him in jail for one day." "We can't do that." I said, "Put him in jail one night. I need him alive." so I could talk to him tomorrow. We can't do that. So the snow was up to my waist, and he told me, get the bleep bleep out. I said, if you tell me that 3 times, strike out, I'm leaving. I'm walking in Brooklyn 2 streets from the train station because I was emotionally taking this in and asking God, please help this kid. Please help this kid. This kid's running in his underwear
Oh,
in the snow. George, you can't leave me. You can't. I said, you know what? I should just kick your ass right now. I'm an old man. I'm in the snow. And now you're in your underwear in New York City. Now you go and do a detox. He went to a detox. He's still sober 9 years.
that's
There you
wonderful.
go.
See, that's good.
It takes what it takes. And I can't
It's
do it
not pretty.
anymore. Not pretty, you
Yeah.
know.
The end
Well,
is.
that's why you moved to
The end's
Florida, right?
beautiful.
So that if you have to chase somebody in this, it's not in the snow.
I'll chase him on the sand, but not the snow. So
It's a
we
lot
can
of
do
Hopefully, they're not in their underwear.
yeah, that's yeah. So there's a lot we can do. I wish we could be more unified. Um, but God's
George,
in charge. I'm not in
it,
charge.
we got to keep doing whatever we can do, and reaching out to people. And I hope they see this. Can you tell people if they're feeling like that deep dark hole is right there and it's pulling them in? Give them some advice. What should they do? Who should they reach out to?
Please go to someone that says they love you. They're
Go.
just concerned about you. They're worried about you. They want what's best for you. And I couldn't see it at the time. But when I had enough people tell me, George, your life is worth living.
Hmm.
You're going to impact one person. I didn't think I would be alive. I'm going on 21 years continuous. I didn't think I would be alive. I didn't have guns then. If I did, who knows what. But the reality is, their life is worth living. They have a purpose. They just have to allow God to help them find that purpose. But if they don't allow God to help them find a purpose, they'll never find it. So find
Yeah,
your purpose. You're worth something. You can help somebody. Someone needs you in their life to hear a kind word, a hug, a thoughtful thing, compassion. We all need each other on some level.
we do. We all need each other. We're human. We're pack
Yep.
animals. We love family.
Waste
We
of
love
time.
friends. You know, Thomas. You're a man of you know a lot of scripture. Is there anything you can pull out of that Bible to share with us tonight and send us off towards Christmas?
Man, it just put me on
Jesus.
the spot.
Lights on you. Lights on you.
Okay, here it is. There's a simple scripture. There's two of them. One is, "This too shall pass."
Hmm.
Okay, but the other one is this: "The joy of the Lord is your strength." It's not your joy. It's not your happiness. It's not your. It's His joy.
Yep.
That's your real strength. And His joy is that He gives His kids good gifts. And so, in the Christmas season, you've got to ask God for His joy. I
Hmm.
think a lot of people want to go around and spread joy and good feeling. That's okay, but let it come out of that strength that He gives you, and
Well said.
not just manufactured on a human level, but on a truly relational level. First with God, then with your people that you know.
Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you,
Mhm.
everyone. Thank you, Thomas, for joining us tonight. Thank you, George,
Thank
for
you, all you
coming
guys.
on. It's hopefully everybody in our community gets through Christmas
Yes.
and enjoys Christmas and remembers Jesus is the reason for the season. It's a joyous season. It's the birth of Christ. This is a wonderful season, and I just want to make sure everybody knows they are loved, and there's somebody out there, no matter what you're going through,
Yep.
that loves you. Just
Yes.
don't be ashamed of anything. Just give yourself to the Lord and give yourself up to those people that love you, and you will get through it. And I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, you guys.
Merry Christmas. Same here. Same here.
All right. Well, I'm going to
Thank
close
you
it
so
out.
much, John. Good to see you, Joanne and
See you,
Thomas.
John.
Great conversation. And let's hope we can help one soul. If we can help one soul, that's the gift that we give giving.
Yes, thank you. All right. So
Thank
I'm
you
going to
so
pull.
much.
All right, I'm going to pull you guys
Okay.
off stage.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to pull you off stage, John. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us here tonight. We had a great discussion tonight with George and Thomas and John. I want you to know we will be live on New Year's Eve, so please join us as we watch the ball drop. And before we wrap it up tonight, I want to thank our audience for their support. Please ask like-minded people to join us every Friday at 7 p.m. for local news and the board report, brought to you by Indian River Connections, IRC Media. And tell them about our regular contributors like Thomas Augustus, editor and chief of the Sunshine Journal. His editorials can be found at thomasaugustus.substack.com. And our other contributors include Kevin McDonald, previous school board member of District 5, and Jennifer Pippin, Indian River County's chapter chair for Moms for Liberty. You may also connect with all our podcast contributors like Abel Child, Shattering the Narrative, and John's Conspiracies Club, the Conspiracy Club, every second Thursday of the month at Filthy's in Vero Beach. That's right, it's at Filthy's in Vero Beach at 6 p.m. And you can also go to IndianRiverConnections.com to take a look at all those podcasts. Thank you again, and have a good night.
Indian River Connections brings you the first source you can watch for truth on board decisions in Indian River County. The Board Report, where taxpayers and policymakers intersect. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite platform to get notified when we go live on Fridays at 7 p.m. Visit IndianRiverConnections.com for more.
Okay, I didn't screw that up too much, right? That went okay.
Good.
Yeah, that went okay.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
shit. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good.
So what happens? Does it pop up on your screen? Do you see that when it comes up and says you were sent a mute thing?
Yeah, I seen it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that went pretty good. I was nervous with Thomas and
Yeah.
yeah, because
No.
I think Mike was saying they had a little rift.
Yeah, before like in person, but nothing massive. But that was good that they were able to get on the same page. So that was good.
Yeah, so it went good.
It was
All
good.
right.
Yeah. Good
Well,
job.
Merry Christmas.
I'm sure I'll talk to you before then.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, we do need to get together to talk about Downtown Friday.
Yeah, for sure.
So I
Yeah.
got the paperwork. So just let me
All right.
know. And then
Yeah,
I go on vacation on the 23rd. I'll be in Colorado from the 23rd to the 29th.
All right. We'll just get together after that. Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
Cool.
All right. Well, you have a good evening.
All right, you too.
Bye.